My ex-husband just admitted that he still loves me, and I have no idea what to do about it. This is so surreal. I'm living a fantasy I've had 1,000,001 times, and I don't even know if I want it anymore. This is a long story that no one will read, and I don't blame you, but typing it out might help me understand how I am feeling here. We got married young, 19 and 22, with basically a shotgun wedding. I carried for 8 months just for it to end in a stillbirth. And he was there for me, and he cared, and it felt like we fell in love after we got married, and things were good. He wasn't controlling, he believed in me, motivated me to do more and more, go to school, get a degree, become a nurse, all that. He even paid for a good chunk of it himself, like most of it when he wasn't even making good money yet. The bedroom took some time to really figure out, but once it was mastered, it was mastered. He never tried to get me to have a kid again either. He was perfect, and he grew into being perfect, which just made me love him more. What we had felt so loving and good, and like, wow, I really just stumbled my way into this from a casual friends with benefits to an amazing life and husband. And it stayed like that for a long time. Then I hit 30, and things started to change. It was little things, little comments that he would make about how young we were when we met, how we went straight into making the marriage work and school and apprenticeships, how we never really got to be young, even though I think 30 is pretty young. Then he started to go out with his friends more, but not like before. Before, they would come over and play video games or barbecue or something and chill out, but then he started going out. And he just started having more fun without me, I guess. And then it got worse. He sat me down and brought up the topic of an open marriage, more freedom for exploration, and everything he couldn't do before me, basically. And I said no. He said he wasn't sure he wanted to continue with what we had, and it all crumbled from there. He just decided he didn't want to be married anymore. To be clear, he divorced me. He didn't cheat on me, but it was motivated by the fact that he wanted to, his words. It was a bad divorce, but honestly, only emotionally. I felt blindsided and horrible, and I begged for him to stay. I even said I would do the open marriage after all, which he declined. He said it wouldn't be real if I didn't want it. And thank God he did that, because it's true. But he was a good person through the whole thing. He just was. Then he gave me our house that I paid a fraction for, because he wanted to make up to me for him wasting my youth or something like that. Youth became such a big talking point, man. I don't know. He offered alimony, which I should have taken him up on, but I didn't because I felt bad. And I didn't actually need it. But the point is, he divorced me, blamed me for nothing, and was kind. I couldn't even hate him. He wanted to stay friends, but I didn't because I was still in love with him. So we landed on friendly. No blocking, following each other on social media, no bad words to either side of the family, but we don't talk. Except the twice-yearly Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas text. The divorce was final in January of 2019, and I thought that was that. I didn't date throughout 2019 and 2020. I couldn't for obvious reasons. Same for 2021. I was just focusing on not freaking dying, but I did meet someone in 2022, and we've been dating for almost 2 years in February. It's nice, easy. He's divorced too. Neither of us want to get married again, and it just works. We were even talking about moving in together eventually. And then my ex calls, from his mom's phone no less. I had stayed close to her, not super, but like a phone call twice a month and sending actual gifts for the holidays. So I picked up with the usual, "Hi Judy, how are you?" And it was him. We hadn't talked in nearly 5 years, and then bam, there you go, your ex-husband suddenly desperate to see you. He said that we really needed to talk and asked if he could come by. He could even bring his mom if I was uncomfortable with just him. And I said yes, but to bring his mom. Now at this point, full on, I thought one of them was dying. Mostly thought it was him and that he wanted to make amends or something, because nothing else would explain the suddenness. He came over to the house with his mom as promised, but he looked fine. They both did, which made me so much more confused. But I let them in and waited for him to say something. It was the most awkward 45 seconds of my life, until his mom elbowed him and said, "I'm not doing this for another year. Tell her, I'll be in the other room." Which, am I crazy, or again, does that make it sound like he's dying? Anyway, she left for the kitchen and left us in the hall, and he just started word vomiting. I don't know what else to call it. Like, I'll type out what he said coherently, but I want to make it clear it did not come out this clean. Being young and dumb didn't matter when I wasn't with him. He thought he'd be happy to have full freedom to do whatever he wanted, and he was for a while. He traveled, met people, dated, but it always felt wrong. And he knew he regretted the divorce years ago, but didn't want to bother me after he broke everything apart. For nothing, apparently. He said his friends were in his ear, always talking about marriage and how it slowed them down, and he listened, despite the fact that I never tried to stop him from doing what he wanted. And he still loved me. And he wanted me back, and he never really stopped. And he would talk about it year after year after year to his family. And his mom told him what I had told her about the idea of moving in with the boyfriend, and it triggered the hell out of him. And that's how he ended up on my doorstep. I felt like I was in a freaking movie, except the music didn't swell, and I didn't have like the magical moment of the love of my life and I getting back together, and it all worked out. Nope, I just felt confused and angry. And I told him that this was all too much to drop on me out of nowhere, and to leave, but I would call him. So now I'm here, still confused, still angry, but now have to figure out how to tell my boyfriend about this. I will not be leaving him in the dark. But what the hell, man? If you loved me so much, why did you leave? Why were you so insistent that you had to be with other people? You know I'm seeing someone. You could have tried this for the year I was single. Why now? Why? I feel so suspicious and weird, and I don't know if I believe him. But at the same time, I still have never loved someone the way I loved him. Is it that insane to think what we had did matter to him? Is that delusional? Or did he just have a midlife crisis and regret this? I don't know. I just don't. Update. Well, the height of the dramatics are over. I think it went as well as it could have, but I told my boyfriend everything that happened. He wasn't happy, but he wasn't mad at me or anything. I think it helped that my ex's mom had been there and we weren't just alone hanging out. But we talked a lot. Spoiler, we are not breaking up over this. And you know what? I love my boyfriend. And maybe it's not as intense as what I had with my ex-husband, but that took years to get to. It wasn't overnight either. I think it also helped that my boyfriend is divorced too, and when I asked what he would do in my shoes, he had a lot to say. So we both agreed I'm going to see and talk to my ex about it. He said that if it was him, he'd want to tell his ex face to face that it was over. So I texted my ex, and to be clear, I wasn't vague about anything that was going to happen with him. The direct text, which my boyfriend saw, read, "Hey," his name, "obviously we need to talk about everything that happened the other day, but I want to be clear that we won't be getting back together, no matter how the conversation goes. Knowing that, do you still want to see me?" And he did. So we set up a time and place, public, and again, my boyfriend is aware of all of this and is fine with it. But he did want to come with me. Not like inside where we were meeting, but drove me over and waited in the car. And I know that that could sound weird or bad, but I feel like it makes sense. He's being so calm and collected about this whole thing, I think he just wants to stay in the loop, so not a red flag to me. Anyway, I went and we met up at a park, with boyfriend having direct eye line to the bench we were on, and we talked. It was a lot. Of course, it was a lot. I would always have love for him, but the window to that life closed years ago. He cried, apologized for crying, and it hurt a lot to see this, and I felt so bad. I don't want to sound awful or like I don't take my relationship seriously, but for a second there, I just wanted to kiss him and tell him everything would be okay. But I didn't because that would be dumb as hell. And it's time to move on. But the talk was hard, and I'm a little worried he's hanging on to some hope because it ended on a weird note. He asked if things would be different if I was single, which, obviously, I feel like he thought that question made some kind of point that I'm not seeing. I told him the truth, that yeah, it would be. That my boyfriend was the top reason why I wasn't going to be exploring this. He asked what could happen if we ever broke up, and I said that wasn't really a healthy road to go down, but I swear that made him perk up a little. I don't know, maybe he took it wrong, maybe I'm reading into it wrong, but I don't think I have to worry about him pinning away from me considering the circumstances of why we aren't together. I gave him a hug before leaving, and that was that. It's still over. Obviously, I told my boyfriend everything, even the weirdness at the end, which he didn't love, but he was fine with me keeping him unblocked. But he did say he wanted to be told if he ever reached out again, which is completely fine by me. The code to my phone is open. He's welcome in anytime. And I think that helped a lot. Like, I don't know y'all, but he was so damn mature about the whole thing. It was really eye-opening to how much I appreciate what we have. He's very different from my ex, more reserved and quiet, but sweet. And he can still communicate. He just chooses his words and actions very carefully, and that's the kind of thing I need. Stability. I deserve that. I'm still a little worried about my ex though, considering everything I learned and how it ended. But I did my part. I'm not going to cut either of them off yet, because they really are good people. There is only so much I can write in a Reddit story, but I don't hate him for a reason, even though he emotionally screwed me over bad. And especially his mom, she's a freaking angel. And I think that after this, she won't bring it up again. And if he starts popping up or something from her end, then I'll do the hard work to cut her off. But that's it. It wasn't the big fairy tale ending I dreamed of, but the nice, quiet life I made for myself is still intact. So I've mentioned it multiple times here on this channel that we get these stories of couples getting married way too young, late teens, early 20s, and then once they're in their late 20s or 30s or 40s maybe, they realize I didn't get to do all the things that I wanted to. I've only been with this one person, I didn't get to explore, so on and so forth, and then that affects the marriage, and then it usually ends. Someone probably brings up an open marriage, but it usually ends. And this story was seemingly no different. He left her, and then after 5 years, he realized, oh man, I still want her, probably saw her with her new boyfriend, got jealous, and was like, I gotta try and get her back, man. It's not right, but it didn't work, and now she's got a new life, and I think the homies got in his ear and gave him some bad advice, to be honest, in my opinion. But anyway, next story. What do you think? Story number 2. How do I, 33F, make it clear that my best friend's 34 mentally ill wife, 48F, is not invited to my wedding? I am getting married in December, and my partner and I are looking to have a mid-sized party, probably about 75 people, comprised of our social, familial, and professional circles. I am 33F, my partner is 34M, and my friend Anna is 34F. Her wife, Bernice, is 48F. We are in Canada. Anna is my best friend from university. Anna is divorced with 2 kids and has been married to Bernice for 5 years. Bernice loves Anna, and that's about it. Bernice is happily and consistently unemployed. Bernice has never attended or hosted a social event in anything other than a crop top and a knee-length pencil skirt. Neither fit. Bernice has 2 points of conversation: alien abductions and the 2008 blockbuster video game Lego Indiana Jones. Attempts to gently lead conversation beyond those points proves futile, unless Bernice thinks the person in question may want to have sex, in which case she suddenly develops the cognizance to switch topics and ask them so directly. I don't think anyone has ever taken Bernice up on her offers to have sex with them at random, largely due to the above, but also likely due to the fact that she rarely, if ever, showers or grooms. I have seen this happen at birthday parties, game nights, bar crawls, grocery stores, and school events. Nobody in Bernice's social circle has ever excluded her from participating in anything. It's probably pretty obvious that Bernice is neurodivergent, but to nobody's surprise, she leverages neurodivergence as a means of asserting how special she is, instead of using it as a pathway to improve her relationships and sense of self. She is perfectly content to exist exactly as she has in the past, and will likely do so until she dies. Lately, she has explored whether she has dissociative identity disorder. It's a dead-end road. Anna is happy, per her own admission, and I trust that. I don't have any reason to doubt that she is making the right decisions for her relationship and family. She has told me many times that she loves Bernice and that she intends to stay in the relationship. I appreciate that she is direct with me. But I can't earnestly be around Bernice for more than 5 minutes, and that sincerely impedes the amount of time I can spend with Anna, as Bernice attaches herself to Anna so intensely that it's like having a third child around when we get together. To Anna's credit, she is aware that I do not like to spend time around Bernice, but is sad that we can't all socialize together well. She has never made me feel badly for this, though. As for Anna's children, I love them, and I would like them at my wedding, and I would love Anna at my wedding too. It wouldn't be the same without her. But imagining Bernice approaching a colleague or a friend makes my stomach churn. I am struggling hard with a tactful way to say your wife will suck the life and energy out of my party by monopolizing the attention of either you or my guests and potentially making them feel sexually harassed, while still inviting Anna and her 2 kids to the event. I'm considering coming at it from a boundary-related standpoint and tell Anna that I can't have Bernice at the event, given how she makes people feel uncomfortable. I don't know if it presents a mean double standard to let other guests have a +1 and not Anna, but I can't have Bernice at my wedding. Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "Be honest. Tell her that while you would love for her and her kids to come, you feel very uncomfortable around Bernice because of her history of overstepping sexual boundaries and will not extend her an invite. Say it apologetically and tell Anna that you completely understand if she would rather not attend at all. And if so, then you will be happy to reconnect with her separately sometime after the wedding." Then OP replied, "Thank you. I agree that the random, unsolicited sexual requests are probably the most obvious fault to point to when justifying her lack of invitation. I know I don't owe anyone a justification, but she is my friend and I do want to be honest with her. I think it's important to keep in perspective that Anna might not attend and I want to make it okay for her to tell me that. Update. We are married now and the wedding was wonderful. Wonderful, but bittersweet. I realized now, and when I eventually spoke to Anna, that the wonderful part was having the management and dread I was experiencing of Bernice's presence off my plate when I already had so many other elements to worry about to ensure the success of our special day. When I spoke with Anna, I tried to provide as much perspective as I could and center my concrete experiences with Bernice over my feelings. Anna sent a thumbs up emoji and we haven't spoken since, and I doubt we'll ever speak again. Bernice messaged me separately and said something along the lines of, "Oh well, I know people think I'm annoying, I thought you'd understand," and I didn't respond. I reflected a great deal on my relationship with Anna, and I realized that so much of it was rooted in managing the codependence she shared in our relationship, and that our friendship had not looked the way it did when we were in university together for a long time. In the time that passed after we stopped speaking, a great emotional weight was lifted off my chest, realizing that so many of the problems and annoyances Anna had brought to me were no longer mine to solve as a result of her not having a supportive adult partner in her life. While I loved her and loved helping her troubleshoot, I was taking on a role that was outsized and ultimately caused resentment on my end. I am trying to be mindful of the friendships I have now, the roles I play with each person, and how I interact and engage with each person's significant other. While this friendship was unsalvageable, I believe it offers a beneficial lesson for my other relationships. Thanks to all of you for your advice, kindness, and especially your compliments towards my writing style. It just flows out of me. Here are some more relevant comments. User 2 said, "Has Anna ever said what she gets out of this relationship or what she sees in Bernice? Unemployed, unhygienic, clingy, 14 years her senior, who only talks about an obscure video game or alien abductions and attempts to solicit sex from strangers in public? Like, is she a good cook or something at least? Sole beneficiary of a rich uncle? Because I am struggling to wrap my head around why anyone, let alone a divorced mother of 2, would shackle themselves to the utter train wreck of a person that you have described." OP replied with, "At one point, I asked because I was interested in trying to make a connection or try to understand where the attraction laid. And that's when the codependence clicked when I was reflecting later on. Bernice has no money and she can't cook, but she's someone that Anna will always be able to take care of. She is both proud of herself and perpetually unfinished and in need of encouragement. Anna is an amazing caretaker, but I had hoped she would have this introspection to realize that that has no place in a marriage. Full time, that is. Obviously, we should all care for and be cared for by our spouses to some degree." User 3 said, "I need to ask, now that I've got the chance, what do you think Anna finds attractive in Bernice? Is Anna also on the same emotional or cognitive level as Bernice and thus doesn't mind her behavior? Your previous description of Bernice was vividly off-putting, so one has to wonder." OP said, "Anna and I bonded really heavily over mutual communication and introspection. We always tried to take a step back and communicate with each other as to our feelings, desires, and needs, which is why her relationship with Bernice and how it affected our friendship was really disappointing. With respect to the attraction, I don't want to be an armchair psychiatrist, but I know that in other relationships, Anna was usually put down and made to feel subservient, and I think there was an inherent safety in the sort of anything goes, easygoing, granted weird, personality and steadfastness to media and to Anna that Bernice brought to the table. I very much do not think Bernice was or is remotely good at sex, aside from offering to have it and having it with anyone who would accept. I reluctantly admit this, but when I was reading this woman's eloquent wording, I was stuttering a few times because I was like, how are you wording this sentence? This was so college level educated. I knew it immediately, and now I feel dumb and inferior. God, I'm so mad. I thought I was well written, but I'm not. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the story, I guess? I don't know. Anna sucks and Bernice is terrible and likes Lego. Next story. Story number 3. My 22F boyfriend, 24M, is a passport bro, and I had no idea. I've been with my boyfriend for 8 months. Things have been going really well between us up until a few days ago. A little backstory. I am from a Central European country and he's American. He said he settled in my country because of work opportunities. We met in a coffee house where I work as a barista. We clicked instantly and started going out a few weeks later. Everything was so good and we had so much fun. Fast forward to last week, he asked me to help him with some documentation. I was happy to, as I know my language is hard to understand and even translate sometimes. When I was searching online on his laptop, I stumbled upon some weird websites. They were all about passport bros. I didn't even know what the hell that was at first, and it basically had tips on how to settle in foreign countries, where to find a traditional bride, which country has the most beautiful woman, etc. I was shocked and so confused. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to gain some clarity and checked his profile on one of these websites. He had full-on conversations about Eastern European countries, European women, how hard it is to take them out on dates, if it would be better to settle down in Asia instead, and so on. He decided to settle down in my country. I feel dehumanized and like he fetishized me and the women from my country. Also, our whole relationship has been built on a lie because he told me he settled down here because he got a job offer. After I found all this stuff, I quickly took a few pictures of proof and then made up an excuse to come home. He tried to reach out a few times, but I told him I don't feel well, so I can't meet up right now. I can't even look at him. I feel so disgusted. Am I overreacting? How can I confront him about all of this? So I've heard the term passport bros before, but I never bothered to look into what they are, and I guess now we know if you didn't before. But what do you guys think about these? OP feels entirely right to feel I can't say that word, fetishized, but I don't know how I feel about this one. Like, did he do a bad thing? Like, he kind of lied on what his relationship is based off of. I don't know. Like, I don't, this is a weird, I don't think I've been so torn before, right? If you want to go find a partner, then go find a partner, but like, there's better ways, but I understand. I think this is the toughest one. I've got nothing for you guys. Please feel free to share some thoughts and opinions in the comments. I'm really curious about this one. I don't support lying though. I got to make that clear. But thanks for watching. Bye-bye.